Today on the Topping Show, a girl goes viral for crying over her garnished wages because of her student loan debt. Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested for hiding illegals from ICE. Trump administration moves to ban artificial dyes in foods. Illegal that Biden released, while now is arrested for allegedly abusing a 13-year-old boy. Porsche 911 Spirit 70 debuts with only 1,500 units being made. And General Motors issues a stop sale for their trucks and SUVs using their 6.2-liter V8. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Ease me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapters so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the Porsche 911 Spirit 70 coming to the debut, and it's limited to 1,500 units. Now this comes to us thanks to one of the best writers at thedrive.com, Ronan Glone. And here you can see some of the Porsche in all of its glory. It says, quote, "The Porsche 911 Spirit 70 revives a gem of the 1970s, a Porsche interior." Which does sound fancy. Pish posh, like top, what is that? Top drawer, they say. Now, they also say it's limited to 1,500 units, and they feature a new shade of green and psychedelic upholstery, which, you know me, I love my green Honda Civic Si. Green cars have been growing on me for a while. Don't really like rag tops or convertibles, so to say, but it still looks pretty cool. Not too shabby Porsche, looks pretty nice there. Now, diving the article, ooh, they got some even better pictures, which let me put those on the screen. They're only a million times more photogenic than my ugly mug. Well, maybe 2 million, depending on who you ask. Now you can see the side profile, which again looks so much better with the rag top up. I understand that people love convertibles, although not statistically with sales these days, but you know what I mean. I just think it looks so much better. Had the nice green, hard top on there. And talk about inconvenient. These are cool pictures, but it's a picture of a Porsche in a club. Wonder if I had to pay cover. But my ADHD aside, they say, quote, "Porsche has once again fired up the time machine and is taking us to the 70s. Disco may not be coming back, but Porsche seats are. Or at least on this limited model. The German company unveiled a heritage design model called the 911 Spirit 70 that features several groovy styling cues inside and out, including a limited edition specific paint color and truly psychedelic interior." Which, yeah, Porsche is one of the best companies in terms of customizations of the car. I mean, if you pay it, they'll do darn near anything. The craziest thing is that a Porsche 911 with the color I want, which is, I really do like the signal green, the color of that paint that you pay a premium, that paint color is worth more than my Honda Civic Si, which is, again, Volkswagen Group is brilliant for having Porsche do that stuff because it's highly profitable. But it's kind of funny to think that the paint on my dream Porsche is worth more than my whole Honda Civic Si right now, but I partially digress. Now they say, quote, "The 911 Spirit 70 follows in the footsteps of the 911 Targa 4S Heritage Design Edition, which drew inspiration from Porsches built in the 1950s. The 911 Sport Classic was challenged in the 1960s. This time, the brand started with the 911 Carrera GTS Cabriolet, and you don't need to be a seasoned car spotter to pick out the Spirit 70 in a parking lot. It is finished in a new color called Olive Neo. No collaboration with Matrix? Come on, that's a lost business opportunity. Where's Keanu Reeves? But I'm kidding. That Porsche created specifically for it. Black stripes, a black soft top, and gray gold finished sports classic wheels add a finishing touch to the old school look. Look at it closely and you'll notice a lot of cool details. The hood wears a Porsche crest that's almost identical to the one on the brand used in 1963. The engine cover has a familiar Porsche heritage badge. The end rear's emblems feature galvanized gold plating, which, geez Louise, that's getting fancy. Let's look at that. Which, yeah, gold plating is one of the dumbest things in terms of it's not worth anything. It's like, that gold plating is thinner than like human hair. It's usually comical. But here you can actually see the interior of it, which, it does look kind of psychedelic, I guess. Looks interesting. I don't know. It's not for me, but granted, I got Honda Civic budget. I'm not their when they look at their prospective clients and who this is made for, it's Definitely not me unless I, win the lottery or something. Although, you only have to have one person believe in you one time to change your life. So maybe I'll land Texas Instruments as a customer for a tech company. Who knows? Now, they also note that, let me pull that up here really quick. Yeah, they say inside the unquestionable highlighted is a material black and olive neo upholstery called Pasha. It's the same seat pattern that was on the car about 50 years ago. Of course, Porsche nerds will know that well. Pasha has a kind of checkerboard design with a perspective warp that makes it such cool looking. This old runless thread with a wealth of images of original cars running the seat pattern you'll check out after reading the story. They say Porsche revved it up for the special edition, added it to the center of the seats, the dashboard, the glove box, and door panels, which, yeah, they plastered over. And they put the special edition logo everywhere on it, which makes sense. They also know it's one of the coolest upholstery designs we've seen in the 911 in recent memory. We're told that the material is designed to be more comfortable to sit in than his cloth that Porsche used in the 1970s, which, yeah, the bar is pretty low. Old cars look really cool, but in terms of the handling and, yeah, material, they usually leave something to be, so you kind of want something a little bit more. Let's pull up the exterior of this beauty here. You see the gold-plated emblems they glue on there. But don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's nice, high-quality 3M adhesive. It's got 911 plastered right on the hood. You got a little itty-bitty badge on the fender. Kind of cute. So you really know it's the fanciest of all the editions. And it looks pretty cool. Leave that on the screen. They finish out the details here. Now they say, on sale now, the 911 Spirit 70 is expected to reach buyers in Europe by April 2025. Let me see here. In terms of, this is the most disappointing part for like a real driving enthusiast. Porsche hasn't made any mechanical changes, so don't expect to find a 1970s inspired mechanical fuel injection system, yada yada. You don't want that, but it says this actually comes from a gasoline electric hybrid that relies on a turbocharged 3.6 liter flat six and electric motor integrated into the 8-speed dual clutch automatic transmission to develop a boring experience. Well, he didn't say that. I'll clarify. He said 541 horsepower, 450 foot-pound of torque, which I know it's faster. I'll beat the comments. I know it's faster to have the automatic than the actual manual, but come on, Porsche's the last brand out there making stick shifts at the price point. Well, in terms of mass manufactured sports cars, how is this only automatic? I feel like they're leaving money on the table, but they also say on sale now, reach Europe by then, limited to 1,500 units worldwide. While pricing hasn't been announced, we wouldn't be surprised if the model sells out in now days. Limited edition 911s become instant classics, which, yeah, the fact that some of these go up and almost overnight, they'll go for like 100 grand more than the dealership pays for it. Because those people buying those are the reason Porsche keeps increasing those prices, you bastards. Pardon the French, but yeah, the base model 911, they keep jacking up the price because they know all the flippers and people keep agreeing to buy these cars for well over list price, and Porsche's like, why are we leaving money on the table? Which stinks for people who want to try to get entry level Porsche, but yeah, it's kind of disappointing. There's no actual performance increases to it. It kind of looks sporty and cool in terms of the upholstery. And again, it's a Porsche, it's limited edition. They're going to sell out overnight. I mean, they'll have no problem. And again, if I was a Volkswagen Group shareholder, I'd be pretty happy because again, highly profitable. The 911 is third-party analysts estimate it's about 50% profit. It's most, I guess they have Lamborghini too, but I venture to say it's one of the most profitable things in the Volkswagen Group portfolio. So again, shareholders should love this. But I don't know, would you be willing to pay, how much more than the traditional Porsche 911 would you be willing to pay for this special edition? If anything. Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Prod podcast, we have a student crying over her garnished wages from her crippling student loan debt and going viral on the social media. This is brought to us thanks to End Wokeness, and he says, quote, why y'all, he's just quoting her, he says, why do I gotta pay back my loans for a useless degree? Which begs the question, why did you get a useless degree? We will dive into that in a second, but without too much further ado, let's hear what she has to say. Now, a little disappointing, her interior of her car is not as exciting as that Porsche 911. There's no fancy upholstery. That's straight up just black cloth interior. A little sad, but I partially digress.
They about to garnish our wages. They really know how to just ruin your day. The U.S. government hates everybody here. Y'all, as of May 5th, they're taking 15% of your wages towards student loans. Y'all, I've been ignoring student loans since I've been in school.
Shouldn't have done that.
If y'all know how much I owe in student loan, y'all would think I went to school to be a lawyer. And it's a degree that wasn't even providing me a decent lifestyle. I was just living off vibes. So you mean to tell me I went to school and y'all lied to me? Y'all wanted me to go out there and do triple the work to get a degree. Y'all, I owe so much money. I'm in Texas, so we don't have state tax. 15%. Hell, you might as well go ahead and add 5 more. Add 10. Cause that's the state tax. I cannot believe this. I just had to pull over, y'all. My head started throbbing. I'm about to get a headache. They're doing this in a couple of weeks, y'all. I gotta go do deferment. I gotta go do something, y'all. We can't get away from this. People are even already saying that their credit score has dropped from a 700 something to a 500 something. Oh my gosh, my credit score. 15%, whether you have it or not, as of May 5th. So long as you have money in your bank account, they are taking it. In fact, financial aid just called me the other day and I hung up on them. Not in the mood, don't have it.
Now, most of the comments are viscerally roasting her, making fun of her, saying she's an idiot. She may be that, but she's also not wrong when she says the government hates us. I say that because, knock on wood, I should have I've taken years, but I've been working twice as hard and, I haven't taken vacation or had a new pair of clothing forever. Like, I've been paying off my student loans early, and I still have them. Knock on wood, I'm scheduled to pay them off early this year. But yeah, when she says the government hates us, yeah, they do. I can't but think, who was the one, again, I'd love to hear your experience in the comments below, but when I think of who is the one pushing this bullcrap agenda that you need college, the public school system, the Department of Education, the people who benefit from you taking out those crap loans. I remember, and again, this is anecdotal experience, growing up in the Midwest, those useless unionized teachers, the corrupt SOBs, they drilled it into our brains that you would only be successful if you got a college degree. Through elementary school, all the way up to college, every single teacher except one drilled that into our brain, saying, you look at the statistics. I mean, you go to college, you'll make more money. I mean, you need to take out a loan. You need to go to community colleges. You don't want to do that. You want to go to a nice university, they say. You'll be set for life. I mean, look at this. Look at this. I mean, you'll make so much more money. Yeah. Turns out for most people, I would argue college is a useless waste of money and also an indoctrination zone where you'll probably lose some IQ points and just become a zombie of leftism. And it's ridiculous. There's a lot of bullcrap degrees that don't need to exist, like gender studies, degrees that have no value at all in the private sector. I can't but think that's why a lot of the useless degree college kids go end up working for the government and be useless bureaucrats for most of their lives. But yeah, she's talking about going to garnish your wages. Yeah. I mean, how many of us, when we took out those loans when we were 18 years old, were we properly explained, here's the cost per month, here's the interest rate, and here's what will happen if you don't pay? Now, in America, it's very unique. The only debt you cannot get rid of in bankruptcy is student loan debt. Everything else you can dismiss. Car loans, medical debt. I mean, if your housing is flipped, I mean, you can go bankrupt and go through the bankruptcy process. Everything's dismissable except student loans. And thank God I didn't have one of those horrific Sally Mae loans that, no bitch is more evil than Sally Mae. I'll tell you that much. You look at the interest rates, sometimes 6, 7, 8% for a college degree. And people realize they're going to get their money. And like she said, they will garnish your wages. Now, thank God my parents had a modicum of financial, they looked at finances with me. So we kind of realized, I knew the monthly cost. And at the time, it was about the price, turned out to be about the same price as my first car, which is a nice little used Chevy Cruze Eco with a stick shift. But again, a lot of people don't realize most degrees do not have a good ROI. And truth be told, I got a business degree, which, again, I had a couple good teachers, but I learned more about business in the first year of running a business than all 4 years of business school. So yeah, most college degrees are bullcrap. And I think, culturally speaking, we're shifting the United States where no one cares about a degree anymore. There's no more elitism. There's no more, except for leftists, they worship pieces of paper. But these days, most people are judging men by their merit, by their actual accomplishments, not by a piece of paper that says, oh yeah, I went to this college. So what? Unless you went to Texas A&M, then you got the rings and the cult, sure. But I partially digress. Now, going to the comments, it's been pretty violent. I've got about 697,000 views. Not that violent. 14,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Based Electrician. It says, quote, time to pay your bills. This is just a screenshot of her getting 669 likes. 89, now it's 90. Paul Zupa says, quote, "This is what comes from teaching people that they'll never be accountable for anything," getting 579 likes. Yep. Citizen Caller says, "Help." There's a person drowning saying, "I can't afford my student loans." And then under the water, it says, "Starbucks, new iPhone, tattoos, cable, eating out, Gucci, useless major, and then Coke." Not the beverage. And again, depending on your degree, like everyone always says, like you'll be successful if you don't drink Starbucks, which I do think that's a useless waste of money. I mean, cost per unit is just comical. But yeah, if you were to cut all those costs, could you pay for your college degree? New iPhone, again, it's kind of cliche. People always use that metaphor. If you're smart, you don't finance your iPhone. You pay it all up front or whatever phone you want to go with. But I mean, new iPhone is a one-time cost of probably around $1,000 to $2,000. Starbucks, you might spend, yeah, maybe even it's $5 per day. Like eating out, I think is a major killer to most people's budgets. They don't realize is hugely, totally a ripoff. I don't eat off. Unless I'm with a client, I eat Walmart groceries. And that got 1.3 thousand likes. You also have Matt Van Swol saying, quote, "People seem to have forgotten that college is an insane bet on yourself to perform well. Instead of being turned into a playground for kids in their teens and 20s, we must stop funding these colleges. It's killing our kids with debt, and the ROI for college degree is almost zero." Getting 1.1 thousand likes, which, yeah, again, the only caveats I could ever think of, if you want to be either a doctor or a lawyer, where you do, unfortunately, there are, well, for better or worse, depending on your belief, I tend to be the more libertarian when it comes to lawyers. I don't think you should have to go to college. Especially, I think you should be able to, self-test with. I think, is there one state left, Louisiana, or is that done? There used to be take the LSAT, but nevertheless, with credentialism, I think those are the only two industries left where people really care. Like, oh gosh, I mean, Bobby went to Harvard or whatever. But yeah, the average college degree is just crippling debt. I mean, and especially most companies, when I used to, for me, it helped me get into tech because at the time, Hewlett Packard Enterprise required a bachelor's degree just to get the job. So I suppose I could argue it was a contributing factor to where I am today. But yeah, in terms of how much I paid, especially when you take out the loans and interest, it's just not worth it for most, I would say a majority of people. Alyssa in the C says, "Why just sign up to take a useless degree in the first place, getting 1,000 likes?" It's because you're brainwashed to do so. They tell you have to do it to be successful. I mean, the culture in the United States used to be, especially when I went to school about 2009, 2013, it was like the default. No one was talking about how you can make more money being an electrician or learning a trade like plumbing, which again, you can make six figures doing those jobs. Those are great jobs. And also jobs with the current tech now, you're not going to be replaced by a computer anytime soon. But we're just completely culturally brainwashed to think you have to have college to be successful. And quite the antithesis. I have an interview show called Topping Talks, where I interview a lot of local entrepreneurs, veterans, IT executives, and we don't discuss net worth on camera. But spoiler alert, the people who are millionaires, they don't have degrees. Most of them dropped out of high school and just worked like hell. They found something they were passionate about. They just grind it out. And they have financial discipline. The most successful people I know don't have degrees. The people I know who have degrees are still paying them off for the most part. Now scrolling down more and more. Son of Liberty says, quote, "Suddenly people who can't pay back their student loans are experts in tariffs in the stock market," getting 674 likes. Spitfire says, "So she chose a degree while living off the vibes," getting 402 likes. Which, yeah, that is pretty stupid. Yeah, I'll give him that one. A Anonymous says, quote, I don't need you anymore. I'm woke now. It's a cartoon of a brain walking out the door, getting 168 likes. Let's see. You have a picture of Dorothy in was he literally just called the Scarecrow in that movie, Wizard of Oz? Mega Dog spelled "Welcome to the Adulthood," and Dorothy says, "But how do you talk without a brain?" And the Scarecrow goes, "I'm a Democrat," getting 195 likes, which I need to look up. I haven't seen any studies, but I would guess on average the people with useless degrees are more left leaning, like the underwater lesbian basket weaving things. Like, I would guess, like, on average, most of the folks in my business class, again, small sample size in Iowa, most of them are more middle or a little bit more right, again, on average. But that'd be an interesting thing to break down the data. A lot of people, Kat says, they say the student debt crisis is solved. So step one, take out loans. Step two, pay it back, which, some of these people literally can't pay it back because of the job market. Their degree is useless. And again, rent is going up. A lot of people are in a tight spot. Let's see here. So it'll be interesting to see how they pay. Now, again, I'm not a fan of student loan forgiveness. It's just taxpayers bailing you out for a bad decision. But yeah, I think that's immoral as well as it doesn't solve the core issue, which is why are colleges so expensive? I don't think it's a coincidence that as soon as you got the Department of Education, and then as soon as the government guaranteed the loans, they shot up like a rocket. Colleges now they build really nice gyms. Like the University of Iowa, I guess, not even free shout out. Just it was nice that they built a really nice gym there. That was expensive, but like the quality of education hasn't increased over the past 100 years in terms of what you're learning. It's not the same basic concepts. You have some more overhead in terms of you have more technology like computers and gyms and all that kind of stuff, and the sports ball stadiums, which that's actually a good. I actually do agree with football or colleges spending a lot of money on football stadiums because those do provide a better ROI for the college because people and alumni will pay tickets to go there. I understand that business justification actually, but on average, is it worth that much more in terms of the experience and more importantly, what you're gaining out of it? I think not. And again, they know there's little competition and they know the government's guaranteeing these loans. You will pay it back. So why not give that kid, an 18-year-old, a $200,000 loan? It's a guarantee. I mean, it's a one type, it's guaranteed. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest contributing factors of why college has also skyrocketed in price as well. So we will see how this plays out in terms of, again, a lot of people aren't in the situation to pay it back. I think the average taxpayer is going to say, there's no way I want me to pay back your loan. I mean, I'm a little bit biased because again, I made a lot of sacrifices. I mean, shoot, I'm going on vacations. I got a Honda Civic, which I love her, but I'd love to have a Porsche someday. It's like, I'm a little biased because again, I've been working, an entrepreneur as well. So, 80 plus hours a week. And I mean, I've been working, just paying off, trying to make 2 payments per month in terms of my student loan payback schedule so that I can pay it off early and avoid some of the interest costs. So again, personally, I would hate the idea of my tax dollars being used to bail someone else out who didn't make the same dedication to working that I have. And I understand some that have useless degrees, but there are still jobs out there. But let me know in the comments, are you in favor of student loan forgiveness? I mean, what do you think will eventually come to fruition in terms of this situation? Let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Judge Hannah Dugan arrested for hiding illegals from ICE. And I do apologize. This actually story was from last week. And this is from End Wokeness. And he says, quote, breaking, Judge Hannah Dugan under FBI probe for hiding an illegal from ICE in her courthouse jury room. Now, this is actually the first comment was, oh no, Kash Patel confirmed she was arrested. This sure went more viral. Maybe people aren't surprised that leftists are so corrupt and breaking the law. Got about 220,000 views and 6.3 thousand likes. And Wokeness, his top update saying, Kash Patel, director of the FBI, confirmed that she was arrested. That got 5.7 thousand likes. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, I love this shit, getting 129 likes. You also have Paul Suzupa saying, quote, I love seeing some of these leftist judges face justice. More please, getting 220 likes, which that's pretty rare. Usually doesn't happen. You have Molly Pitcher having a quote from Wall Street Apes, and she says before the quote, treason seems to be an epidemic in the nation on the left. And the quote is, the Democrat Party is not a political party. They're a foreign-controlled domestic terrorist organization masquerading as a political party to bring down America, unquote. Getting 80 likes. Rick Suit also says, why hide the alien in the jury room? Surely there is room under her robe. And that's funny because she's morbidly obese, getting 80 likes. Though she did wear a blazer. She did something right in that photo. Let's see. Scrolling down more and more. We have Cloud saying, quote, they really are part of the MS-13 gang. This is going to be wild, getting 23 likes. It is interesting how much they don't want gang members to be deported. That's an unusual hill to die on. I wouldn't have guessed it. Well, no, I guess I could have called that. Keisha says, well, quote, another one. She needs to be arrested too, getting 70 likes. Miss J says, isn't hashtag Alina Haba the U.S. attorney in New Jersey? Let's lock these judges up, put them in the same cell that the illegals they were harboring, getting 14 likes. We also have Zachary Harrion saying, quote, this just proves that judges in the U.S. aren't the angels they pretend to be. Reuters just found thousands of judges broke laws or ethics rules, but kept their jobs. We need to fight the judicial coup in this country, getting 23 likes. Yep, agree. There are a lot of corrupt, useless judges in the United States that do more harm than good. And yeah, they should be taken to court. And, well, I can't think they'll be proven guilty in many instances. But yeah, overall, everyone is very excited in the comments. Again, politicians in general being held accountable is so rare. And we need to have more often, as well as these judges. And let me know, do you think finally we're having a shift in politics where there will be more accountability? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have the Trump administration moving to ban artificial food dyes, and it is thanks to RFK Jr., hashtag MAHA, or Make America Healthy Again. This is first brought to us thanks to Eric Daltrey, who's a writer at X, or poster. Well, not basically, he's a person, but he might have a poster of himself. A little bit narcissistic, but he's a person who also posts on X, which I don't know if that's a dad joke or an attempt, but the attempt was made to be amusing. Now, Eric Daltrey says, quote, "It's official. The Trump administration moves to ban essentially all artificial food dyes in the U.S. food supply at RFK Jr. Direction. Eliminate 6 dyes: red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6. Some of these sound like really lame boy bands. Blue 1, blue 2, green 3 by the end of 2026, which that's actually sooner than I thought. Because again, a lot of these people are critiquing some of these. Again, we see bans in our lifetime. We're like, oh yeah, we're gonna ban this, and it's like 20 years out. Now he continues saying, quote, "The FDA Commissioner Macri says, quote, this administration is not interested in doing the same old things as we watch our children get sicker. Goes on to say cancer, diabetes, etc., going up at an alarming rate. Nobody seems to know why. Goal, address what's in the food, not focusing on," oh, that's a disappointing way. He says, goal, addressing what's in the food, not focusing on more drug admissions. And it says, establish a national standard, timeline for food industry to move from petroleum dyes to natural, initiate process to revoke authorization of citrus, red 2, and orange B, requesting food companies to remove red dye sooner than the deadline. Effectively, all petroleum-based dyes will be removed. And let's go ahead and let's do a minute or two. This gentleman is credited to an interview on Fox 5, which somehow Fox is still in business. It blows my mind.
Today, the FDA is taking action to remove petroleum-based food dyes from the U.S. food supply and from medications. For the last 50 years, American children have increasingly been living in a toxic soup of synthetic chemicals. The scientific community has conducted a number of studies raising concerns about the correlation between petroleum-based synthetic dyes and several health conditions, such as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, obesity, diabetes, insulin resistance, cancer, genomic disruption, GI issues, as I've seen in the hospital, and allergic reactions. For example, this Lancet study conducted a randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled study.
Interesting how they don't have to do double-blind tests or vaccines. Interesting, allegedly.
On food dyes, and concluded that artificial colors in the diet, quote, result in increased hyperactivity. So why are we taking a gamble? Parents, moms and dads, have also tried to raise attention to the issue. Some parents have observed that these chemicals cause hyperactivity and even aggressive behavior, and that it subsides when the chemicals are removed from the diet of the child, and sometimes even reoccurs when those petroleum-based chemical dyes are reintroduced. As I know from my experience taking care of children as a doctor, you have to always listen to the mom. Other studies have found that artificial...
I don't know about that part in terms of you look at who's butchering kids, but I see what he's trying to say.
Colors that create vibrant colors mess with the child's developing brain to make ultra-processed foods more attractive, even when the child already feels full. These studies have associated food colors directly with obesity and diabetes. Well, America's children are sick and suffering. 41
Fact. So, yeah, some of the best health news I think we've seen in years. Granted, that bar is pretty damn low. And this rent pretty viral got 2 million views as well as 39,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Maggie Wise saying, quote, "This is excellent news." And it's a picture of Trump and RFK Jr. saying, "Maha, make America healthy again." Gained 335 likes. Austin Rogers says, "Somehow liberals will find a way to be upset with this objectively good move." Oh, I guarantee they will. Getting 109 likes. I'm still waiting for someone to tell a leftist that Trump likes air. I love to breathe the air. It's so clean, it's so beautiful. And then, they'll stop breathing the air. Now, you also have Sam's Girl saying, quote, "Should be easy to switch since they already make food without artificial colors in Europe." In 274, it's making 275 likes. Now, again, I've brought this up before. I do wonder, again, wise man by the name of Thomas Sewell once said there's no such thing as solutions, like trade-offs. And I always debated with my friends. I do wonder, why are these artificial dyes in the United States food supply? Why are these artificial ingredients there? Is it to decrease the cost of goods sold so they can be more profitable? Is it malicious because they do it because they want to be unhealthy? They want you to be addicted to the product. They want you to be dependent on more medical care, maybe, or they do it because it's convenient or easier. What is the reason they're doing this? Because again, in other countries, one of the best examples was the juxtaposition of the two pictures of Fruit Loops in the USA versus Canada, where again, in other countries, the product is much less vibrant because they use natural color dyes. They don't use artificial ones. And a lot of people wonder, was it also a marketing thing? Kids like, bright, shiny objects. Why is this our food supply? And are they doing it because just to save money? So does that mean, I do wonder, will it increase the cost of goods sold? I understand there are other trade-offs. Again, if you're eating healthier food, you'll probably have less medical cost. You'll be healthier overall. There's a lot of benefits. I do wonder, though, how much could it increase the cost of food? Because in the United States, we are very unique in many ways. One of them being our food budget is one of the lowest in the planet when compared to your total income. I understand in the past couple of years, the price of food has gone up a lot, but still relative to the global, world economy in terms of who buys stuff and the percentage of income going to food, US is one of the lowest. So I do wonder, why are these companies doing it? And let me know if you think it's malicious. Do you think it's just simply, it's cheaper? Or do you think it's because it's more addicting? Or very well might be a mix of all three. Now, you also have Kyle Becker saying, quote, "Big time news. This is a serious achievement. Now we can get those rogue judges to try to order our kids to be sick with dyes and sugary cereals." Yeah, 302 likes. Grammar be damned. No, Robert says weaning kids off of food dyes takes a couple days, and candy is going to be tough but necessary. And 36 likes, which it is funny because growing up we were always told, it's because of the sugar. You get the sugar high, which isn't really a thing. It's because of the sugar. No. Rational Thoughts also has a picture from the Babylon Bee saying, quote, "Democrats begin chugging artificial dyes to protest RFK Jr." Which and kind of funny AI picture of AOC and Elizabeth Warren drinking dyes in a water bottle. I got 32 likes. Christine says, quote, "Dems are going to become scientists all of a sudden and publish pseudo articles about benefits of artificial dyes." That's happened once, was it? It wasn't the New York Times, but yeah, that happened a year ago. Once when people started to discuss this, there's an article that's like, actually, why dyes might be good for you. Yeah, Captain Kurt, he must have a lot of time in his hands. I didn't realize that's on the Twitter or X. He says, "I mean, nice first step, but why so long?" Getting 12 likes. Well, why so long? I understand from the manufacturer's perspective. Actually, no, that's actually not that long from a manufacturer's perspective when you're working out logistics, ingredients, as well as assembling. Well, I was about to say assembling the food. When you're cooking the food and making it, a lot of those contracts. Again, when you have business to business contracts, like let's say I were to make high fructose corn syrup in a can, like a cola. I might have a 1-year contract with the sugar or I guess in that case, the corn syrup, manufactured in Iowa. So again, a lot of business to business contracts are usually, I would say on average are 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. I'm a little biased because most of my business is tech, but because of ingredients, you see similar best practices. So I'm guessing a lot of them are mid-contract. Now, it's good for those other companies, maybe the natural sugar manufacturers. And again, I know we're talking about dyes here, but I'm thinking of other ways our food might be healthier. But yeah, there has to be an industry in and of itself is coming together and making more natural dyes to these foods. But that business is going to have to come from somewhere. Whoever's making it now, they're going to have to ramp up production, and/or we'll have to have new businesses being taken place. So in terms of business, 1 year, that actually is not long at all. Fiscal quarters go by very quick. So it might feel like an eternity, but yeah, it'll be here before they know it. And they're going to have to do some massive pivots. And it'll be interesting to see. Will it increase your sales? We'll do 1 or 2 more comments here. You have Jessica saying, quote, "Democrats are about to launch a campaign in defense of artificial food dyes." Getting 158 likes, which, again, one would think this would bring us all together. I would hope so, because everyone wants healthy kids. I think, you could have a debate on what is the best mechanism or what's the best methodology to get them to be the most optimal healthy. But yeah, it'll be funny to see and kind of sad to see some people oppose this fervently. And again, I understand why you might be worried about the cost increasing. I understand that, but I suggest as this has become a political issue, people will just oppose it just because it's coming from the Trump administration. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: you have an illegal that Biden recently released. Well, he's now arrested for allegedly hurting a 13-year-old boy in the worst possible way. I try to keep the show moderately family friendly, so I don't have to worry about turning off the volume if you have kids in the room or telling them to shush or go away. So just a heads up, this is an interview with the sheriff, so he might go into some more graphical detail I just wanted to kind of put that out there. It's about a minute long, and well, his voice is infinitely better than mine. It's brought to us thanks to End Wokeness. It says, quote, breaking illegal release by Biden, again, abused a 13-year-old boy in a responsible way in Florida.
Samuel entered the United States from Mexico back in August of 21, and he was shipped back to Mexico. He illegally entered again sometime in early 2022, where he fled from Texas authorities, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. He was located in Sarasota, Florida in July of 2024, but because of the Biden-Harris catch and release policies, he was released back into our community. So now let's fast forward to April 13th, 2025, Charlotte County, Florida. This individual befriended a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old and decided to play a game of hide and seek. While in the woods with these two, he sexually battered a 13-year-old child, both orally and anally. The subject was later located and arrested by Charlotte County deputies, where he admitted to his crime.
Yeah. Yet another reason we need a secure border. And this should have gone more viral. I got 600,000 views and 33,000 likes. And I want to double check something about Florida really quick. Now, unfortunately, I had to keep this moderately, don't want this video to get taken down. Unfortunately, Florida did change the law. So yeah, I remember now. About a year ago, Florida did change the law so that judges don't have to, but judges in Florida do have the option to assign the death penalty if, again, it's proven in court that if someone hurts a kid, Florida judges do have the option to put them down. And I would argue, solve the problem permanently. One of the most frustrating things is that the statistics of repeat offenders is quite high. And I find it visually disgusting that more is not done to protect children in the United States. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's, let's just say, I'm not so much in tolerance of the MAPS, as they call them in California. They call them, what is it, the minor attracted persons? Yeah. We're not down with that in Texas. Now, going to the comments, one of the first ones comes to us thanks to Gunther Eagleman, who's saying, quote, an activist judge kept him here, getting 542 likes. Yep. Democrat Media TM says, quote, what do you think should be done with these illegals as punishment? Getting 15 likes. They also said, if I said what we were all wanting to happen to this POS, I get suspended for violating X terms of services. Yep. Again, to clarify, well, this probably will get taken out on the YouTube. That's why Rumble's a lot better, and I always post there as well. Again, I'm just saying the judges have the option. Have their day in court. We'll see what kind of punishment they are assigned, which they are legally allowed to in Florida, as well as a couple other great states. Derek Evans says, arrest the judge who released the illegal. They should. Getting 4.7 thousand likes. We also have Masculine Basic, quote, Biden's open border just handed evil a free pass. How many more children have to suffer before Democrats care? Getting 81 likes. If the child was illegal, they probably care. I also have a picture of a Biden logo, but it's been changed to say blood is on their hands from Sarah Smith, saying arrest Joe Biden, getting 183 likes. Maria says, quote, these MRFers need to get their private parts removed, getting 52 likes. Matt Van Swole says, quote, send him to El Salvador and don't let him ever get out, getting 54 likes. A lot of funny, inappropriate memes that you would only get to, gotta watch the video to see that. I'm not going to say that out loud. Conservative Mama says, quote, why is everyone fighting to keep people like this in our country? Great question. It got 28 likes. Let's make it 29. Yeah, quite horrifying. James says, more horror inflicted because of Biden allowing the invasion of our country, getting 16 likes. Yep. Let's see here. A lot of people are hashtagging Governor Ron DeSantis. See if he'll get involved. Clem Ziroli, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, says, quote, people need to go to prison. This is absolutely no reason this should have happened. This is a fault of the worst presidential administration in the world in history, getting 79 likes. Yeah. Make it 80 likes. So again, it's another scary thing, the ripple effect of the open border and being weak on crime. And definitely keep your kids close. And these days, unfortunately, you got to especially look out for them. And it'll be interesting to see if this what this POS is assigned in terms of illegal ramifications. But let me know, what do you think should happen to him? Obviously, don't let yourself get banned in the comments, but as always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, you have GM putting a stop sale ahead of a recall for their blown 6.2 liter V8s in some of their vehicles, specifically the 2021 to 2024 trucks and SUVs. Oh, sorry, I should have put a visual disclaimer on the screen. You have to look at a GM product. Oh, it's horrifying. Yeah, after the C7 Corvette, well, I guess the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing and CT4V Blackwing look pretty good, but the rest are junk. And also the Cadillacs have the stick shift option, but I partially digress. They say, quote, if you're eyeballing a leftover full-size SUV or pickup from Cadillac, GMC, or Chevrolet, you might have to be out and wait for a while. This is thanks to Brian Hurd, who's a writer over at, again, thedrive.com. And he says, quote, in a dealer bulletin, General Motors has issued a stop sale order on every full-size pickup and SUVs powered by their L87 6.2 liter V8 and from 2021 to 2024 to address an issue related to the connecting rod and or crankshaft integrity, or lack thereof. Seen in one of two recent bulletins shared by GMCDrugs.com forum, GM offered the following guidance for dealers with the 6.2 liter models in the inventory. They say, quote, General Motors has decided that a defect which relates to motor vehicle safety may exist in certain 2021 to 2024 model year Cadillac, Escalade ESV, Chevrolet Silverado, Suburban, Tahoe, and GMC Sierra 1500, Yukon XL, vehicles equipped with that engine. The connecting rod and or crankshaft engine components in these vehicles may have manufacturing defects that could lead to an engine damage and engine failure. If the engine fails during the vehicle operation, the vehicle could lose propulsion, increasing the risk of a crash. Whoops. Here you can see one of whoopsies. Replace the engine. Oh, dear God. Wow. They say, oh, Jesus, I can't believe that. Vehicles with past inspections are to be refilled with higher quality weight oil, OW40 versus the standard OW20, a new oil fill cap, an owner's manual insert, and may be returned to inventory. When reached out for comment, and GM spokesman provided the following statement, quote, GM will voluntarily recall certain of those vehicles to resolve manufacturing issues that affected some engines. The safety and satisfaction of our customers are the highest priority for the entire GM team. Oh, wait, he wasn't doing stand-up. Really? I mean, I guess they haven't had as many recalls as Ford, who's had 40 recalls in 2025, but yeah, their top concern is our safety reliability. I just don't believe you. You have so many recalls on so many of your products. I debate if there even is a quality assurance team. Now, they say that, quote, earlier this year, the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration opened a preliminary evaluation targeting those vehicles, citing nearly 350 consumer complaints logged with the agency. They say, as you probably already concluded, 2025 model year appeared to be exempt from this. A source says that the 6.2 liter V8s in 2025 model year trucks and SUVs are the product of an updated tooling which eliminates the underlying issue. At least, there's some silver lining there if you want to buy a new GM vehicle. I'm sure they won't have any recalls in their future. Oh, geez Louise. Now, they say that, quote, it's good news for shoppers who are looking for 2025, at least on the surface, because it appears the V8 situation has gummed up the works for quite a bit. There will be plenty of 2025 inventory at dealers. Oh, yeah, it's got high interest rates unless people are buying cars. They also know that, in fact, we spoke to Cheney Eastman of Chaycar that this may be well the case. Chevy, that's kind of, the name is Chevy, and they sell Chevys. That's almost like fate, like Topping working at a pizzeria. Oh, yeah, I actually never did, fun fact, but nevertheless. They know that they had a couple of their blown Cadillac Escalades with the same motor. They had some issues that need to be fixed, which, yeah, spending about six figures on an SUV, having any issues, I would find a bore, to say the least. And again, GM does make some great cars. I make fun of them a lot. I mean, if I won lottery, I'd probably get a CT4V Blackwing in blue. Obviously, a stick shift, obviously. And maybe the CT5V Blackwing in orange or blue with a stick. I mean, I've had the privilege of driving the CT4. It's a lot of fun. They make some cool cars. But again, I don't know what Mary Barra is doing. She's a CEO. I mean, this is the most important thing you do, GM. You're losing money on EVs every single day. They lose money on a lot of their cars. Where car companies make money, for the most part, Tesla is a rare outlier. They make money on EVs. Car companies make money from SUVs, trucks, and crossovers. That's where the most of the profit is. The gross margin on a truck is crazy. We're talking like 5 figures. That's insane. Now, juxtaposition to that, you get the Chevy Cruze Eco, you'd lose like $400. Like, they are losing money on those little things. The most important thing you do, GM, is SUVs, trucks, and crossovers. That's where you make your profit. The profits from that gas engine is fueling your experiment making EVs, which you really are dedicated to. The fact that you don't have triple the quality assurance on this product line, which again is the core of your business that fuels every other department, every other project, every other initiative that you have, that's ridiculous, GM. And it just makes customers more irate, so they'll probably buy an alternative that is, statistically speaking, a lot more reliable and shoot, even less in cost at sometimes. So I gotta say, GM, having a recall, or sorry, a stop sale ahead of your recall and having an issue with the main thing you make for a living, I gotta say, GM, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.